Our thoughts are prayers. And as we go into the silence, please get comfortable in your chair, putting your feet on the floor if possible. Eyes softly closed. Take a deep breath and exhale. Relax into this moment, this precious moment on this most beautiful day, full of endless possibilities. Turn your attention to your thoughts. Your thoughts are prayers. What are they saying? Sift through your thoughts. Remember, they hold vibrational energy. What thought keeps returning or grabs your attention? Reach out and gently grasp it. Feel the energy from your thought. Be curious. How does it feel? Slowly open your hand and release your thought into the universe. What happens as you follow your thought's journey? Does your thought drag along the ground with low vibrational energy or soar like a rocket directly towards the infinite universe? Is your thought entangled on a tree branch or telephone pole, fighting to elevate to a higher level but lacking that vibrational energy? What vibrational energy does this thought carry? What is your thought, your prayer telling you? Be with your thought for a moment in the silence and contemplate those questions. Now it's time to say goodbye to your thought, but hold on and remember what you learned. Slowly return to this place and this time, bringing your attention to the now. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Now join me in singing a new Lord's Prayer. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. So, welcome to this beautiful day. And why is it beautiful? I mean, you're here, I'm here, it's green outside, there's no rain, and there's this haze of brat smell through the whole city. As Maya Angelou, and I always say that wrong, said, "This is a wonderful day. I've never seen this one before." So welcome to this beautiful day as it unfolds and we join together in community. For those of you who know me and have suffered through book groups with me, I always start with a poem, and so I'm going to indulge myself today. The poem is called Trust by Thomas R. Smith. And it starts out, again, trust. It's like so many other things in life in which we must say no or yes. So you take your car to the new mechanic. Sometimes the best thing to do is trust. The package left with the disreputable looking clerk, the check gulped by the night deposit, the envelope passed by dozens of strangers, all show up in their intended destinations. The theft that could have happened doesn't. Wind finally gets where it's going through the snowy trees, and the river, even when it's frozen, arrives at the right place. And sometimes you sense how faithfully your life is delivered, even though you can't read the address. And some of what we're talking about today is trust. We're in our third week of our book series, fourth chapter, dealing with denials and affirmations. Our thoughts, which Unity describes as a combination of energies of thought and feeling, are prayers, just like our meditation song indicated and our meditation focused on. Denial and affirmations are tools we use to back us up and get us into divine flow and divine identity. We don't want to be out of that divine flow. And man, I need a tool. I have a PhD in error thinking. I don't need any more lessons, no more examples. I really am looking for something that's useful and helpful, and I want to learn something better, something new. I'm waking up to the possibilities since I've been at Unity. You guys have helped me a lot. Also, my family, which is probably the most important thing in my life, has helped me. When my daughter met my future son-in-law, they showed me how a functional family could work. They moved on when we had drama, because we're going to have drama. They truly forgave when we said stupid things or did stupid things. They let go of the forever hurts. And that was magical, because before that, I only experienced the forever hurts, the lingering anger that let us stay stuck and ruined relationships generation after generation. So as a couple, they've really continued to give us this gift, and I think it's the best gift I've ever been given. And then top it off, my daughter's mother-in-law's name is Denise, so, you know, what could be better? When we're talking about, did it move too much? Sorry, I'm getting used to this. I want to go back one. Okay. Thank you for saving me once again. Denial and affirmations really focus on 3 of our 5 Unity principles. Our thoughts and feelings have the power to create the experience of our life. Prayer and meditation keep us connected. And it's not enough to know something, we have to live it. When we look at our vibrational energy, that actually sort of connects with denial and affirmation. The Unity principle, our thought and feelings have the power to create our experience of life, are linked with our vibrational energy. It makes sense if we consider we're living in this ocean of energy, we're a piece of it, it connects all of us, and everything has its own vibrational frequency. And when we did the meditation, we were looking at the thought that you had, and did it bring you up? Did it leave you at the ground? What vibrational energy were your thought portraying or expressing? So human beings can vibrate at different frequencies, but we can positively positively shift our vibrations by consciously choosing where we focus our attention. That individual vibration, that thought, that prayer, goes out into the world and attracts the energy that's moving at a similar frequency. I don't want any more PhDs coming at me, okay? I want something new, something different, something higher. If we change our vibrational frequency, you change your experience. And that's really what denials and affirmations meant to me. I'm having trouble with this. There. This is my brainstorm that my book group had to suffer through. But I had to figure it out for myself because Unity uses all of these terms, and then from book to book, they use a different term for the same meaning, and I'm starting to go, wow, I'm not following. So this works for me. If it works for you, that's scary, because then you think like me, but we're in the upper corner with the Christ consciousness, and I believe it's your left, correct? Correct, yes. Okay, that's where we want to be. The I am, the perfection, the perfect feeling of Christ consciousness. And we manifest our thoughts and prayers, manifest through our spiritual powers, the 12 powers. And what we do is with our thoughts and prayers, I don't know if you can read that, it says how we plug into our divine circuits, our source of spiritual power. If we have this great thought and your thought went up into the universe, you were in a spiritual place, you had a divine idea, and you acclaimed your divine identity, and you were in the I am, the Christ consciousness. But if you're like me, with the PhD, I'm going out into that human filter, in that error thinking. And when I'm in error thinking, the tool that you can use is a denial and then affirmations. And that takes you back to your divine idea, your divine identity, and the I am. And with error thinking, we're not saying, I woke up this morning, I was mad at the person who was, almost cut me off in the road. And then I didn't think about it again, it's over. We're talking about that road that Reverend Jenny talked about last week, that you seed and then you create a highway in your mind. So I don't know if anybody's a fan of Game of Thrones. Yep. Remember the character Arya? And every night before she went to bed, what did she do? She listed all the people she wanted to kill. And she did that every night. At least what we saw. Now that's creating a road. Is that a good thought? No. Is that error thinking big time? Okay. So that's what error thinking is. I'm thinking about this over and over and over and over and over. And I want to do something that isn't my best, my I am. So error thinking is emotionally based. And if you go back, if any of you were in the Brene Brown book group and we did the braving acronym, and I don't remember all of it, but I remember the G stuck out, the very ending of braving. G was for generosity, and I thought, how much better would I be if when people talk to me, I assume the best versus the worst. And when I'm in error thinking, I'm not usually in generous thinking. So you can, these book groups actually feed on each other and have helped me anyways. And we've had some good groups. So we're going to try this one more time. See if I can get it. Too much? Thank you. This is it. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Anybody want to do this? Okay, thanks. The purpose of a denial and affirmation, and Reverend Jenny talked about this last week, is we pray for one reason. And we're trying, if you go back to that diagram, to get out of error thinking, back into divine ideas and divine identity, the I am. So we're praying to claim and assert our divine identity so we can live more fully. When I'm in PhD mode and I'm in error thinking, I don't feel good. I'm angry, I'm upset, I'm possessed by a thought. They're not generous in thinking. I want to get back to the reason that I want to pray and how I want to pray in an affirmative way that lifts me up and gives me something new. So we're not separate from God. We are born in original blessing, not sin. We carry the I am in us. We just have to grab it, to pull it out, to focus on it. Our prayers are statements in which we align our thinking with truth, and a capital T for truth. So, okay, we've been talking about denials and affirmations. Get to the point. What are they? Let me, get going. Thoughts and beliefs are contrary to spiritual truth. Spiritual truth is identified in this book and through Reverend Jenny as the 12 powers. That's why chapter 2 or 3, I think it was 3, had the 12 powers. Because we want to start from strength, from imagination, from vision, all the options that we have there. And I think what stuck with me is denial is a statement of release. We do not deny our feelings or the facts. We deny that they have power over us. That's a big deal. I don't have to, whip myself 20 times because I had error thinking and beat myself up. What I have to do is say, okay, I recognize I'm in error thinking. What is the real issue here? We deny those facts or feelings that have power over us. We're giving them power so we can take it away. So why is it important to work with denials? When error thinking occurs, I'm out of control. If I'm angry, I'm not thinking, oh, this is a denial, I'm in error thinking, what do I have to do, what's the process? I'm consumed. So the goal first is to say, hey, stop, take a breath, be in the silence, follow our daily word. And it's easier, and this was hard for me, easier to self-condemn than to self-realize. To me, that was sort of the meat. It's really, how come it's so easy for us to beat on ourselves? Self-condemn, oh, I'm bad, oh, my bad. And I thought badly, I'm in error thinking, oh, well, sorry, I forgive myself, let's move on. That's not what we're talking about. We want to self-realize. We need to get to the root cause. So if I'm angry today at you, is it really that I'm angry at you, or I'm angry because I got in a fight with my husband this morning, and we got a fight because I didn't like what happened last night, which had something to do with money, and my real fear is money. That's the work we're talking about. We're not talking about, oh, I was bad, and that was a bad thought, let's move on. Now, Suzanne is in the book group, and she wanted me to put this in, and I thought it was a brilliant idea that she had last week. Mark that one down.
It was the whole group, it wasn't.
Suzanne, take credit. We're weeding out the root of the error thinking and feeding the space that's opened up with affirmations. Because when you release, if you truly release and spend that time going to the self-realization, you only have to do it once. It's gone. And there's a space where it was. And that space gets to be filled up with a higher vibration, more energy, something positive, because you're going to do affirmations. You're going to feel better. You're going to attract better energy to your life. Now, I don't know why gardening came up because, I don't know where that, but we went through this whole scenario, so I'll share it with you. If you're a gardener, which I don't know again why that came up. I have very little experience with that. First, you need to know what the weed is, right? If you got a whole bed, I'm not going to start picking out flowers because I got to get rid of something. I have to identify the weed. And when I identify the weed, what do you want to do? Pull it out. So there's weeds that come out really easy, right? One pull, doesn't matter if the ground's dry, rock hard, doesn't matter, it comes out. But then there's weeds that have these taproots that go way out to the road, and you try to pull with your hand, ain't gonna work. So you need a tool, and you need the right conditions. It's better if it's wet, right? You may have to go more than once, so even if I deny the first time, I may have to go back and deny again. Maybe I released at that moment and I truly meant it and I really did it, but it's coming back up. It's been there for 40 years, so it may take a while. So I have the right tool, the determination, the right soil conditions. And you know, if you practice any kind of gardening or planted any flowers, the next year you know how to do it a little better, right? And the next time it may be a little better. And so it becomes a process where you don't have to stop and say, error thinking, what was that flow chart she used? Okay, error thinking, denial. Denial has to be self-realization. Wait, what does that mean? I don't have time. Not today. It's just go away. So you're really spending meditation and prayer to have those things bubble up and to really work the problem, so to speak, or that error thinking. And denial is the tool you would use in your garden with a weed to bring you back to divine ideas and divine flow. Oh, I want to, yay. One thing that came up in our book group, people were confused with positive thinking, optimism, possibility thinking, wishful thinking, dreaming. And that's what we've sort of been talking about. Reverend Jenny talked about it too, that you just don't say, oh, I wish tomorrow would be better. Is that going to work? Or I have an eyelash that came off and I'm going to blow and make a wish and that's all happening. Wishful thinking. Possibility thinking, if this happens and this happens and this happens and they change and this person changes too and here's what that person says, it'll all be good. Do you have control over that? No, not at all. What you have control of is of your thoughts. Your thoughts are prayers. Your thoughts can lead you to higher spirituality, the divine identity, divine ideas to divine identity, or to error thinking. But you have tools. You're not trapped. That part you have control of. So, whoops, I want to keep going. Oh, I did it. I did it. When we summarize what we're doing, you can break it down in a nutshell. You apply a denial and affirmation to a situation where you notice you're not having a feeling you want. And you're sitting with it to get to the root cause. You're going through your weeding process. You create what you want to be instead of what you don't want to be. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be preoccupied. I want to be in the minute with the person, the place, the thing I'm with. I don't want to have some thoughts in my head that are distracting me from everything I do. They're not helpful, they're not useful, and they're not doing anything for me. I'm going to state the denial, at least in the process once, and hopefully it is truly released, realizing something that's lasted for years and years is going to potentially take longer. And maybe there's side roots, you know, those weeds that like spread out and go everywhere. And there's an example here, but I tried to stay away from examples because I think the book talks about how important it is for an affirmation to be personal with meaningful language. So it might work for you to go to the internet or go to some of the books, Louise Hay's, a whole bunch of people do affirmations, or maybe you need to sit down and come up with words that are meaningful for you. We're almost done, but the book at the end of this chapter talks about spiritual trailblazers, people that show us what can be if we eliminate belief in limitation and impossibility. So I'd like you, this goes quick, but it's an audio. I know that's a little different, but if you could listen to this, I'm going to come back with a few thoughts, but if we can go ahead, Ari, with that. And it's about two boys that met in first grade. And one of them wrote a book called The Chocolate Bar.
Now for a story about the friendship between two boys in Los Angeles. One has an incurable disease, and the other one has an ambitious plan to help him. Reporter Erica Lance of WBUR has the story of Jonah Cornizarian and his friend, Dylan Siegel. Here's Jonah.
Sometimes it's kind of like annoying when kids just stare and stare.
Jonah Pornazarian doesn't blame people for staring.
I have to take off my shoe and I prick myself and blood comes out. It's my blood sugar tester.
He says his classmates just don't fully understand his liver disease. But his friend, Dylan Siegel, responds differently.
Dylan, he doesn't really stare. He just talks to me and we just laugh together and it's really fun.
Dylan is 10 years old now, but this story starts when the boys were in first grade. Dylan's mom, Deborah Siegel, was driving her son home from Jonah's house when she told him that Jonah had a rare condition he could die from.
I'm like, oh my God, I want to help.
That's Dylan. His mom explained there was no cure and doctors needed money to find one.
And I said, do you want to do a bake sale? Do you want to do a lemonade stand? He's like, no. He looked at me like I was insane. What horrible ideas.
I'm like, how about I could write a book?
The next day, Dylan took out his markers and made a picture book he dedicated to Jonah. His plan? Sell the book to raise money for research.
He marched in my office and said, here's my book. Will you go make copies?
Please, 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 print it, print it, print it, print it.
When he took his books to a school event,
We sold out.
so the next week, Dylan spoke at a PTA meeting.
Somebody asked him, how much money you want to raise?
$1 million.
And I was like, what? What did he just say? Does he even know what $1 million is? I mean, he's 6 years old.
I even thought I was a little crazy. But then I'm like, wait, I could do anything I want. I could cure this disease.
Dr. David Weinstein of the University of Florida says Jonah's type of GSD, or glycogen storage disease, is 1 in a million. Weinstein is one of the few doctors who treat it.
There's no funding. Honestly, I've come close to giving up numerous times.
But Dylan learned pretty quickly that the stakes were high for Jonah.
He has no white blood cells at all. Or very, very low. So I can't fight infections. Whenever he catches something like a cold, he could end up in the hospital. And I'm hypoglycemia. He has to drink cornstarch every couple of hours to keep his blood sugar high.
Yep, cornstarch every 3 hours, even at night.
We set 3 alarms.
That's Jonah's mom, Laura.
If we miss a feeding, he can have seizures, go into a coma, and die.
They've had close calls, which only motivated Jonah's friend Dylan. He took every opportunity to approach people with his book. One of them happened to work in the news media. As word spread, more people bought Dylan's book, and dollars started flowing into the fund for Dr. Weinstein's research.
A 6-year-old who decided he could make a change in the world.
25,000. I thought that was incredible. And then it went to 100,000.
You can make a difference.
I love Jonah so much.
In the middle of all of this, Dylan's family visited a boy in the hospital with the same disease as Jonah.
When we went into the boys' room in the ICU, there was a copy of Dylan's book on his bed. Here was a mom who had spent her last 13 years trying to keep him alive. About a week later, he passed away. And it was really hard.
After that death, both families threw themselves into reaching Dylan's $1 million goal.
I knew that it was going to happen. My instincts told me.
And he was right.
Now we have like over $1 million.
I'm still in shock.
That's Dr. Weinstein again.
We are on the verge of treating this disease, and that would not have been possible if the 6-year-old boy hadn't created this book.
The 2 boys may help some very sick children, but there's something else Dylan and Jonah are looking forward to.
Well, and I never have a sleepover at like someone else's house. Once I get cured, Dylan and I made plans to have a huge slumber party and just have fun. Play games, watch TV. Just us 2.
For NPR News, I'm Erica Lance in Boston.
Erica Lance produces WBUR's.
Thank you for listening to that. And I think that is a nice example of a trailblazer who felt limitless in their ability to make a change. And I think that's all in us. And so I leave you today not only with chocolate bar, but that our thoughts are prayers and we're always praying. Each time we claim our divine identity, we are in divine flow, the I am. Denial and affirmations are tools we have to correct error thinking and bring us back into divine flow. Just weed and feed. And most importantly, remember, it's a beautiful day. Oh, and I had a